Which one's better? The first one?
Oh,
Slightly darker, slightly brighter?
brighter's better, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
But whatever's comfortable, mate. We can hear you fine. It looks fine either way, so I wouldn't stress too much.
This one makes me look a little less washed out.
Yeah, I'll leave it like that then. That's fine. I got only one little lamp on today, so. All right, looks like we are live. Let me just check. Hang on. Yeah, we got Quicksilver. We got people watching, so we must be live. That's good. It's working.
Yeah, we just got joined by Pat Trudeau, was it? Hey, Pat.
Hey, how are you, mate?
How are you, gentlemen?
How's it going, bud?
Just dandy.
Cool.
Enjoying all the snow and ice in
please.
Central Ontario, Canada.
Please, the snow and ice. We had some snow yesterday, and went over to rain, and then it went under freezing. And of course, last night I took my garbage out, and I live at the bottom of a small hill, and my driveway is about a 15% incline, 20%. And I didn't realize it had snapped everything sheet ice, and I tumbled all the way down my driveway, halfway and 3/4 of the way across the street. I'm laying out there in my stomach saying, "Oh my God, if a car comes right now, I'm going to get run over."
Yeah, there was a video that actually went viral from the town I live in on the internet there last week. We got a freezing rainstorm, and there was so much ice on the road that there was guys skating down the road in hockey skates.
Yeah. I can see that happening.
Makes you feel any better? I'm in shorts and a t-shirt, so
yeah, I feel a lot better now, Shane. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna see about fixing my lighting here.
All right, no problems.
I'm a bit bright.
Good. Yeah, we got awesome weather here. The last couple of days, it's been really hot. We had a tropical thunderstorm hit us one day, but otherwise it was awesome. It was, I've had beach weather. Christmas Day was extremely hot here, like almost 38 degrees Celsius, like
ouch,
high 90s or maybe more. So it's crazy.
Really.
So I went down the beach for the rest of the day after I did the family stuff. It was awesome.
Yeah, we had actually here. Christmas Day wasn't terrible. Got to the mid 40s Fahrenheit. I forget what that comes out to be Celsius, but it actually Christmas wasn't bad here weather-wise. It's just the last few days that winter has arrived in almost its full fury.
Yeah.
And I'm sure like up by Pat, like here. Late December till like mid-March are like basically the full-time winter, and about as cold or as nasty or as snowy as it's going to get. That's when it happens. So
yeah, this December's been awful where I am.
Our December hasn't been. Go ahead, Pat.
Yeah, we've had more snow and cold weather in the last 3 weeks than I can remember having in December since I was a kid. Yeah, it's been frigid.
We've had some light snows, but nothing's been spectacular just yet. As a matter of fact, we're a little warmer than you are, but even still, this is still North America, and it's been a little bit warmer than some of our regular Decembers. But what happens around here? It's almost like somebody walks up and flips a light switch to the on or the off position, and all of a sudden it's like snow and wind and ice storms and.
That's how it felt here this year as well. Like we just got summer. Summer just went click and it got really hot.
Yeah.
It was insane. So we've got sorry, go ahead.
Good, man.
Oh, I was just going to give a shout out to a few of the folks here. We've got Quicksilver 78, Bastian, Carter, Simon. He says he's just watching some old live gig footage from the Basin Festival 2 years ago, almost now. So yeah, cool. We got Nick in the States. Howdy, man. Howard Hodge. I don't know if I said Ostino already, but if I didn't, I've said it again. And lots of other folks watching. So if you have any questions for us, we'll get into the guitar chat shortly. We're just talking weather. It is
Oh
all
my
good.
God.
We're all from different. Yeah, someone just says, Mr. Kareem just says, is this the Weather Channel or the Guitar Chat? All right, folks. So who either splurged or picked something up for themselves for Christmas? Anyone get any guitar stuff this year? What about you, Pat?
I wish I did. I wish I could give you some really incredible story about guitar gear I got for Christmas, but this Christmas the priority was making sure the kids got a good one. So
no, fair enough. Yeah,
sure
you got more responsibility than me.
2017 will, yeah, exactly. 2017 will be a good year, but
yeah,
not
cool.
You know, Christmas was awesome. It was amazing, but no guitar gear this year.
Okay, cool. What about you, Steve? What's new on the?
Yeah. Well, when we talked, if you remember, I was sitting here with glasses and a hat on. I was,
yeah, that's right.
I was just starting what felt like it was just going to be a wintertime cold, and I had intended to go down the day after our last chat to my local Guitar Center and pick some stuff up because I had gotten a 20% off discount from someplace. And the next day, what I thought was just, sort of a moderate wintertime cold just went full-blown flu on me.
Oh,
and
no.
I was off my feet for days.
Yeah, wow.
And still doing a little bit of coughing here and there. But, the trip that I had planned down there just wound up going nowhere. So, I was hoping to have either a new amp or a new guitar at this point, but neither.
Yeah. Hey, we got. Oh yeah, those colds stick around. I had mine for over 2 weeks, and then it nearly came back. It was
really
awful. Yeah. Welcome, Terry. How are you, mate?
Not too bad in yourselves, and hello, Nick, in the chat.
Yeah, good. Thanks, man. Good. Thanks. Just enjoying the hot weather for a change. It's nice down here. Finally,
he's going to rub it out.
I would imagine, yeah, down there. Meanwhile, here in like my part of Canada,
getting a driver's test. Yeah, so it's all good. Yeah, I can only imagine it'd be pretty cold up your way, Terry, as well.
Yeah, and we just near Christmas, we actually started to get snow, and it was like, oh, so it's a snowy Christmas then.
Cool.
And now it's just been kind of like melting and then coming back, then melting, and it's just crazy.
Yeah, wow. We were just talking about guitar gear for Christmas or self, splurges. Did you pick anything new up this year?
Well, I didn't get anything for Christmas other than a new shirt, this new Pulp Fiction sign that I'm using as a coffee mug. And again, the only thing that I got that again shocked the hell out of everyone was that I managed to somehow get a Gibson.
Cool. Yeah, wow. Yeah, cool. Nice. What is that, a Flying V, is it?
And I finally finished its transformation a couple weeks back. So this was originally a Cherry. And
oh, wow.
As you can see now,
hey, nice.
Look at that.
I've kind of taken it. I did a black wood dye. I've given it kind of a relic worn look, partially because the dye came off, and natural sides. So I kind of did it almost like a two-tone, so to speak.
Talk us through the process of that. How did you do that? It looks awesome.
Well, the premise and the biggest thing of all, from what I've heard from anyone that's actually did anything with pulling the finishes off of these, is that lacquer.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Like, so Will there from Will's Easy Guitar, he's talked about acetone. And I remember reading somewhere about acetone, and it was like, I wonder. So I took acetone and just poured it all over where there was. Well, I didn't pour it all over initially. When I started doing the neck and that, I kind of started wiping, and you could see the lacquer and the red pigment coming off onto the paper towel I was using that had the acetone. So I was like, well, that's interesting. So I just kept wiping away. And I said, well, I got to do larger amounts here. So I said, screw it. And so like on the back here, I just totally dumped acetone, and it just like bubbled all up like crazy. Once it all bubbled up, I started scraping it all off, and it started getting down to bare wood. And eventually at the one point in time, I got to a most of the wood. So I basically thought that I sanded away most of the lacquer and filler and such. And so this is a result of actually multiple coats of True Oil. And this is actually kind of how I did want the guitar to look in the first place, is exactly how this back looks. The back is all pretty solid. And as you can tell, nice and glossy. So ultimately, in the end, this was probably about, I'd say probably about 8 coats of True Oil. And then I broke one of the other biggest cardinal knowledges of a Gibson product. I used Wipe-On Poly. And just put like 2 or 3 more coats on, just to give it more of a solid kind of barrier, right? And another thing I did too here was roller bridge.
Really?
Which is again something that you don't see on very many Gibsons, but it really does work. I know beloved or hated Scott Grove preached about it a lot on his channel, but the reality is, ever since I've put this on, the dreaded kind of G-string thing, I haven't had any slippages or it going out of tune.
Cool.
So it does work. As for this in itself from the original, the pickguard's the original pickguard. The hardtail is the original hardtail. The truss rod cover is the original. Changes, I did totally new CTS pots with an orange cap. The pickups are actually the chrome-covered Dragonfire Vintage or Vintager set, which for a $45 US set of pickups sound pretty damn good. They're Alnico 5s. It's one of the things that, ever since I've been playing guitar, I've just had an obsession with Alnico 5 over anything else. So it's like, and the pickups that were in here originally were ceramic. I think it was like a 490R and a 500T. And the 500T is just like, it's like triple magnet, and it's just crazy touch sensitive. Like, I mean, if you wanted to do like Zakk Wylde metal squealing crap, it would have been perfect, but it's not. I play like most genres. What else have I done here? Cleaned up the frets. The fretboard's pretty rough. I also gave the fretboard a bit of a ebonization, so it's a bit of a darker rosewood. And of course, one of the biggest things of all I did was the tuners, which are actually my first foray into hip shots. They are actually the locking. I'm trying to get the camera and see it. But it's the locking gear hip shots. Cool. The open gear ones, I mean. So it's the first time I paid like $60+ I got paid $68 US for the set, so it wasn't too bad. But so far, as much as I know, there's Gibson people like, cringing at like, you ruined it, It's like, in the end, no, I got basically the guitar that I wanted. And I know one of the biggest criticisms I've had from people is they said, You devalued it. You devalued it, and it's like, my thing about it is this: the Flying V Faded is again one of the most mass-produced Gibsons in regards to a Flying V. If I did this to like a standard or a custom shop, yeah, that would be crazy. And so the amount of fadeds that are out there, and you can pick them up from like anywhere, 400 to 600 US used.
Yeah, wow.
Oh wow.
So it's like,
and the other thing
am I really losing a lot? No.
Are you actually ever going to sell it as well? I mean, that's the only thing you got to worry. Like, if that
you're muted, Shane,
selling it,
or else someone else is muted. Oh, maybe I muted it. Just a second. Now try talking again. Yeah.
It looks like I've got sound. Can you guys hear me, Steve?
Yes, I can hear you.
Double check. Yep. Okay, never mind. Yep. It's my fault.
Terry's muted himself. Or us.
No. I guess when I was trying to show the guitar more, I turned down the actual master volume on the computer.
Oh, that's all right. I was just going to say, it doesn't really matter about devaluing it, because if you don't plan on selling it, who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're buying a guitar for you, like, make it exactly the way you want it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, it's just like the Flying V, I find is only visually appealing in 3 colors. And that, of course, is black, white, or natural. I don't really see it very, and I mean, maybe like a silver burst could be cool too, but I mean, you go back to like standard colors kind of things. That's about it.
Yeah. No, I used to actually have a Flying V for a while. I picked up one of the red faded, the cherry sort of red ones. It was the only lefty they made. Like, I can't remember what year it was. It's probably 2010, somewhere around then. Maybe earlier than that, actually. And it was one of those guitars. I really loved the sound of it. You can't really sit down and play it. That's the only one thing. Yeah. You have to sort of stand with a strap on. Otherwise, it's
unless you pull the old Albert King, do the spread eagle and hold it up sideways.
The thing people don't realize about that guy, I think he was like 6'8".
He was a big man. Yeah,
he was huge, and I'm 5 foot nothing. So it was one of those things. It was hard for me to feel comfortable sitting down and playing it. But
yeah, I'm still kind of getting used to it. Like, I'm still having a hard time with the orientation of, like, your hand and having it in front of you. But for the most part, I've gotten comfortable with it so far. And so far, knock on wood, everything has, gone according to plan, and sounds good. Like,
cool.
My artist friend in San Francisco, Michael Z. Martin, he just thinks, I made such an amazing guitar. I'm like, hey, if I can make an artist guy I know, like, think that it's amazing, who also plays guitar and whatnot, then hey, I guess that's a double bonus for me.
Yeah, cool, man. Good stuff. Oh, well done. Awesome. Yeah, I picked up a couple things this year. I don't think I got anything last year, which was pretty rare. I just wasn't interested in getting anything guitar-wise last year, but this year I ended up finding a DeVille 212 at a second-hand store. It's one of the version 3s with the black faceplate and the two Celestion G12Ps or whatever they're called, speakers, and man, they're awesome. It just sounds great. It's a really huge
solid amp.
Yeah, really great clean tone. The demo just went live today.
I saw the demo.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
I didn't catch it yet, but I seen that's what it was, and I was like, "Ooh."
Yeah.
And I had to laugh at one of the comments, Shane, because somebody said you must have gone quite a bit of trouble to find a left-handed amplifier.
Yeah. I think I favorited that one. That was a good comment. Yeah.
Yeah,
it just
DeVille, that third generation 212 DeVille is such a solid amp. I mean, that's the Michael Landau amp is based off of that, right?
it is, yeah.
And they all they did is they just took out the overdrive channel, and it's two dual channel, but it's 2 volume stages instead of an overdrive.
Yeah.
And they have their issues, but they're so easy to fix if you ever run into anything. Like, there's just such a solid workhorse amp.
Yeah, no, you're right, and they've got a different sort of vibe than like that extra speaker does make a huge difference on the clean. You get this really sort of just lush, sort of wide kind of sound. I love my super reverb, and that's sort of always set the standards in terms of cleans for me. I love my Blues Deluxe as well. It's a great sound, but that DeVille, man, it's got it. As soon as I plugged it in, it's just with those particular speakers too. I was really stunned. I just went, wow. Yeah. I've had a DeVille before. It was one of my favorite amps years ago. It was also one of the first amps I ever had to lift, and I tore my shoulder blade or muscles around my shoulder. And after that, I ended up flipping it. But I'm a bit stronger these days, and also physically, like compared to the Blues Deluxe, it's only a little bit taller. Like, it's not really that much. It's the same width, the same depth. It's only a little bit taller. So yeah, it is.
But that 212, I mean, and people will like probably throw bricks in my general direction when I say this, but I prefer the sound of a 212 DeVille with a pedal board running through it for overdrive than I do on a twin. I find the twins, especially a 65, totally like the blackface reissues, they're just there's so much high end. And those 212 DeVilles, they have such a round tone to them.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
A great steel. Yeah.
I actually had both of those at one time. I had a twin and a DeVille 212, and the DeVille recorded better. I gigged with it all the time. The twin I didn't like for recording, which it's just a really hard sort of sound. I didn't really like it. It might suit certain players and styles, but the DeVille was
it's a whole lot of loud.
Yeah. But it's not a nice loud, in my opinion. The twins, they're a very hard sound. Something about them I just don't like, but
they're almost brittle. Like,
there you go.
Brittle. Like, it's so shrill. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So I ended up with that, and then I ended up with this little guy, which most people probably know about from Facebook. I think I posted an unboxing video.
Oh yeah.
That's a great sounding amp.
Little 5-watter. It's got reverb. It's got tone control, a volume, and a gain control, and that's it. And
you said in your video that's a Bogner brand?
It's a Bugera.
That's
Bugera is a Behringer premium brand.
Behringer, that was it. Yeah.
I used their 22 when I played in San Francisco years ago, and it was good. It was just, it weighs a ton. You know, some of their amps are really, really heavy. This thing's pretty heavy as well, but you know, it's a good size. I can run it on 1 watt and just leave it near the computer, or 0.1 watts, which is awesome. So in terms of tone, it's actually pretty nice. Like, I didn't think I'd run into one of these amps, and I also didn't think I'd own one at any point. But after I played it, I was like, this is the perfect home amp. It really is good.
You know, the funny part is about that, Shane, is again when my Peavey Viper Tube 60 finally cacked out on me, that Bugera, that amp there, the 5, was one of the ones I actually was looking at because, again, another one of those things is it's a sleeper modder's kind of dream kind of thing, because again, everybody thinks the 8-inch speaker is limiting. So you can either turn it into a head or you speaker it out to a bigger speaker, and you can actually get closer to, you know, some of the other Fender type things, like the ones with like the 15-inch speakers and that in it. And as your video showed, when you kind of played it a little bit there, you know, you can tell that right away, even just from going through the little 8-inch speaker.
Yeah, it does definitely have that Fender-y sort of vibe about it. There's no doubt about it. And yeah, it is good. I mean, I'd like to try it through a different cabinet. The only thing is the output's 4 ohms. which means I think I can run it into the Super Reverb cabinet, but that's the only 4-ohm box I've got. So that might be a fun video.
Yeah.
Little 5 watts into 410s. So that'd be nice.
Yeah, might have to give that a go. We've got someone called Toe who's just joined too. Sorry there.
That's right.
I don't know if he's actually got video and audio or he's just joined. But anyway, I'll mute him until he joins in. Sorry, mate. Yeah, sorry, Pat.
No, that's okay.
Not sure what was
I
going
was
on
just
there.
going to say that would be the world's loudest 5-watt amp.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's no different than, the little Hotone Purple Wind and then a whole bunch of these other ones. Like Anderton's there doing the little Peavey Piranha versus the Mini Dark Terror thing there. And the orange little amp coming out so loud compared to the Piranha. I thought that was kind of crazy.
Oh, those little, yeah, okay. I haven't actually tried those little PV amps before, those new ones. They look kind of interesting. The Piranhas.
The Piranhas, yeah, they're definitely more like geared towards like, the metal type of player more so than, say, someone who would like cleaner tones and such.
It'd be perfect for Steve. I think he's into that sort of stuff.
There you go.
Yeah, cool. Don't think any of these. No, yeah. Cool.
All these little heads that are coming out these days, like the Sheriff 22 and like all these mini heads that are coming out. It's incredible the sounds that you can get out of a box that's the size of a shoe box.
Who makes that one? Victory Amps, is it?
Victory.
Oh yeah. We went and played a couple of Victory amps the other day. My friend Brian was gassing bad for something new, and we tried one of. He's also like, I don't know if you've seen any of my videos, Brian, but he's 60, right? He doesn't look it. He looks way younger.
Brian's 60?
He's yeah.
Wow.
And you wouldn't pick it, man. He's got great genetics or something, and basically. Like he wanted something lighter to carry around because he's just over carrying the heavy amps. And we went and tried a couple of the Victory amps, and like they're okay. Yeah. But they didn't blow me away. Have you had a chance to try them or?
I have, because of where I live, the closest dealer for Victory amps here in Canada, to me at least, is in Toronto.
Okay.
Yep. So the only times I've heard them is just through demonstrations online. The one that always sort of caught my eye is the Duchess, the V30, I think is what it's called. They're pretty. And when you look at the pricing of them, they're pretty reasonable, at least in Canadian dollars, in comparison to other boutique amps. But there's so many options now.
Yeah.
And whether you want to go, tubes or you want to go solid state, whatever the case may be, you can get a Peavey, a red line Peavey.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Exactly. The Duchess was the one that we actually tried. That was the one he had his sort of heart set on. And I'm lucky I went with him because he's the kind of guy who likes to tinker with stuff. He thinks there's going to be the sound in there as long as he plays around with it enough. But the more we played with it, the more it just sort of sounded like it was a little bit very like it had this spiky high end that would come through no matter where you had, like he played a Strat with it as well. I heard if you're playing humbuckers, they're awesome amps, but I don't know. It wasn't quite right. And I kind of talked him out of it, and then he ended up with a Supersonic 60 head. So that was more the vibe he was going for.
That's a great amp. Head is unbelievable. I miss the Supersonic 60. I love the 22, but the 60 was just such a great amp with the 212s. No, not the 212s. It was a single 12 still, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, you could also get a head and box as well.
Head.
So he got the head, and he's running it into a 212 or a single 12 cab. So he's loving it. I used to have the combo with the single 12. It was such a great sounding amp. It's the one that I should Like, it was heavy, but it was one of the amps I should have really kept. That was awesome as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, the Victory stuff. The demos of them sound really good, but in person, even Brian's a wizard on guitar, man. He can't make stuff sound crap. It was just like the further back you were from it, there was this high end that would just chop your head off. It was
really,
yeah. Up close, you didn't notice as much. It was just when I was further back in the room, and I said, come back, have a listen to this.
Yeah.
So,
well, there is one famous person that actually uses those Victory amps. Well, they've changed now, but he had his own put out by them, of course, which is Rob Chapman.
Yeah.
Chappers.
Yeah.
He has his own Victory. So he's used them in the past. But I mean, that's the problem with us here in Canada, especially.
Is he famous or is he YouTube famous? Big difference. Is he like John Mayer famous?
Chappers from Andertons.
Yeah.
But okay, you're just being sarcastic. Totally gapped
I
out.
I don't think he's getting Eric Clapton residual checks.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah,
no, more than likely not. But I mean, that's the thing that sucks for us here in Canada is, it's very much like in Australia, like the money and the currency rate in comparison to the rest of the world. It's like I said, all these people like in America have such a big advantage with their dollar and being able to take it and transvert it into into better value. I know I've said that multiple times to a lot of my American friends. I said, if you're smart, you'd actually look at buying the stuff from up here in Canada, buying it from the UK. The UK, the way it's going, it might be the new actual breeding ground for buying, stuff out of with your American dollars.
Yeah.
Gotta wonder what the shipping would do. The desirability of the difference between the two currencies, though.
What?
Like say the U.S. dollar is stronger than the Canadian dollar or the euro right now. This all changes right from time to time. But then like if you have to get something shipped for quite a distance, what does that do to, shall we say, the value of it?
But if you look at some of the bigger dealers, like you talk about Chapman, you look at Andertons. I know somebody that ordered something from Andertons just to order something from Andertons because they're dope, and they didn't pay a fortune for shipping.
Really?
And you know what? And like you were saying, the sterling has just dropped so much. Like the British pound has dropped so much, and it's so unstable that just America to Canada, you've got 30 cents on the dollar, right? So you've got this 30% advantage. Even if you've got to pay extra for shipping.
I didn't realize that the difference was that great right now.
Oh yeah.
It's been like that for almost 2 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't been to Canada for quite a while, and it was probably a good 30 years ago the last time I was there. But at the time, it was only like about $1.10 Canadian to US.
Yeah, it's gone through its paces. I mean, there was a time there, especially after the economic crisis in 2008, where our dollars were almost at parity.
Really?
And then in the last 18 months, especially, it's dropped right back down to like the mid 70s or low 70s.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happened here too. Like last time I was in the States 2 years ago, our dollar was stronger than the US and then now it's completely the other way around. So.
Yeah, it's just like I was going to say.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. Go ahead,
I was just going to say about the shipping thing. Like, for example, Thomann. If you actually went to Thomann's site and you wanted to buy, say you actually did want to buy a Gibson Les Paul and you actually wanted to buy it from Thomann, as an American, your shipping rate for it to come into America, besides what you'd pay for it, is only like about $32, $34 US. For us in Canada to buy anything from Thomann, because that's how I got my acoustic and my HE52 telly there. Again, and as I had just checked yesterday, because Nick in the States pointed out that Harley Benton isn't actually selling anything with rosewood to anyone in North America right now.
Really?
So yeah, I guess because of this new treaty thing that's going on, anything that has rosewood, it was crazy. I even put in their jazz bass style Harley Benton bass that literally is maple neck, swamp ash body. I wasn't even allowed to actually put that through. They had a restriction on that as well too, which is crazy. Wow. But the shipping for us here in Canada, as I went to the site, I'd say about 6 hours ago, was 70 Canadian. And in regards to that amount, you're paying that amount, and you can get probably about, say, 3 instruments with that amount. So, again, Nick in the States, he's a prime example. He's grouped up with other people, I think, on that Agile forum or whatever. And, you know, he's pulled in 3 guitars at once. You know, it's only $32 for shipping.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Wow. Cost me 200 and something minimum to get anything from anywhere.
I was just about to say, you're the furthest point away from everything.
Yeah,
except for China.
Costs a fortune. That's the thing. Like, from anything from Asia is super cheap to get here. I can get anything from Japan or China here really inexpensively within 3 days. It's awesome. But in terms of of getting anything from the States or Europe, anywhere else, you got to mortgage the house again. It's crazy. Yeah.
Aside from, you know, the costs of actually shipping, I would be, this is just me, I would be afraid of the handling that it would go through. You know, I could certainly see, like, you know, Guerrilla Airlines, you know, taking my guitar and, you know, flinging it all over the, you know, wherever they put stuff on the aircraft, or, you know, just really not treating it with any care or respect, and maybe even not knowing that it's an actual musical instrument that might be worth a couple of dollars. So that would be something else that would scare me about getting something from a distance. You know, I guess everybody's the same, but before I buy something, I'd really like to have it in my hands.
Yeah. Especially if you're buying anything significant, right?
Yeah, really.
Toe Britton, that was in the chat, just put in the side chat here. He said you can get up to 30 kilogram of product shipped from Toman to Australia for 72 Australian.
Oh, wow. Okay. Because when I was on their site looking up a guitar, and it looked like it was going to come to over $200. So maybe I was, okay. That's interesting. Oh, actually, I was on not Toman's website. I was on one called, I bookmarked it. Oh, the Rondo one we spoke about, I think, on the last chat.
Rondo, yeah.
Yeah, that's where I was getting my shipping rates from. So that particular website was going to be, it was like an extra 200 US or whatever. And then I just went, the guitar's probably not worth it now. So I wanted a cheap guitar I could pull the pickups out of and do some other demos. But yeah, it ended up not being too cheap in the end. I'm better off just finding one locally, I think, if that's the case.
Yeah, when you're buying a $300 guitar and paying $200 to ship it. It's like,
yeah, that's it.
Or the other reality is as being a lefty, you could look at the lefty selection of Toman and bring it in too.
Yeah,
a lefty out of Toman.
There's a really good used guitar store not far from where I live, and they've got. Last time I was in there, at least, they had a number of Japanese, like 70s Japanese guitars for $300 to $400 to $500, which was pretty good. They were Les Paul styles like Suzuki and what's another brand? I can't remember. There's another pretty well known.
Hell, if you could get a Navigator for $400, that'd be amazing.
I'm not sure what that is actually. What is that?
Navigator is the creme de la creme of the Fernandez produced Les Pauls. Like, you talk about like what the top end Tokai would be, a Navigator would be like a top end Tokai.
Yeah, wow, okay, cool. Okay. I've just got them up here on the screen. Let's have a look.
You guys have good luck with used guitars, used amplifiers?
Depends. I know in my case with my area where I live in, it's, you know, Kijiji is always a crapshoot. You can find some stuff that's sweet, like the classic vibe 50s two-tone that I got from the guy with soft case, and the guy sold it to me for $200. So like that was pretty good.
That's awesome.
That's sort of the one thing I've been happy with, just buying, don't buy a lot, obviously, but buying, new Fender stuff is that you get a 5-year warranty with the thing. So if it works out to be just something that just doesn't work for God knows what reason, right? You've got something to back it up to say, look, fix it, give me another one, do something different. And that's always the thing. I guess that's worried me about buying used stuff is that, what kind of use was it put through? Did the guy take care of it? Did he respect it? Or did he ride it hard and put away wet? It's I guess that's always the crapshoot with buying used stuff.
Yeah, and the other reality is you have to deal with what's your mentality on an instrument. Do you want a perfectly mint condition instrument, or do you want one that's shows that it's been played? And as of myself, probably I'd say in the last 4 years more so on YouTube and just dabbling around stuff with guitars and whatnot, I would have to say the only time the used market is to your biggest advantage is if you have the ability to do the setups and the repairs and swap outs yourself.
Yeah.
That's where the used market is your biggest.
Yeah. I've got a friend of mine that he builds like custom pedals and amps and everything like that. And he does repairs too. And he'll keep his eyes on sites like Kijiji, which is like, the buy and sell used stuff. And he looks specifically for those hot rod DeVilles or the Deluxes, the 112s. And he'll look for ones that are selling for cheap because either the reverb doesn't work or there's a crackling or whatever the case may be. Because he can go and buy it for $300. Spend 45 minutes with a soldering iron fixing the input jack, and everything's working again.
So with my luck, soldering iron out, and the thing would never ever work again.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
People talk about they have the green thumb. I have the black thumb.
Yeah.
No, you're right. If you do have the technical know-how, you can make it work to your advantage. There's no doubt about that. Most of my like that Tokai Love Rock 335 over here, that was secondhand technically. This crazy guy who inherited a whole lot of money, basically, I think they said he inherited a whole lot of money. He bought a lot of left-handed guitars and he couldn't play. He just stored them under his bed or in his cupboards. And he had a whole room full of guitars.
That's optimism.
So, this particular guitar still had the stickers on it. It had the plastic over the pickups. It had never been used. Like, it was clearly technically secondhand because this guy sold it to the shop. And he also sold that Gold Top 56 that I've got to the same store. And then not long after the guy died, right? I think he wasn't quite right. So that particular, I think the family gave like 10 of the guitars to the shop where I bought, 2 of his guitars from. So they've always got they've always had quite a decent selection of lefties in there. If you can find, I kind of like guitars to be in relatively good condition when I buy them. Yeah. The first thing I check frets. If the frets are worn at all, I won't buy it. That's just me. I don't care if it's got a few nicks and scratches and all that on there, but if the frets are worn, that's, a $400 job to get it refretted here.
Yeah.
So I have to take that into account. These particular guitars, that and the Gold Top was literally never been out of the case. You could just tell. So yeah, that was the unicorn of secondhand sales. You find something never been used. The guy couldn't play, just collected guitars. So occasionally it can. Sorry, Steve.
I would always be afraid to wind up with somebody else's headache. There are a few things that I know inside and out, and people come to me and say, "Steve, should I do this?" And I can give them not an educated guess, but like an expert's opinion. I don't have that with guitars. So like I would always be afraid to, like I say, buy someone else's headache. Someone would point a dog off on me and I couldn't see it coming, which would drive me insane.
Yeah, no, fair enough. You got to just play them long enough to know that they're going to be okay too. Anytime I go to check something out, an amp or whatever, I'll sit there and I'll play it for 40 minutes, make sure it doesn't do anything weird. Same when I bought that DeVille. I bought it from a store. They did give me a 3-month warranty as well. But
well, there you go. That's worth something.
I sat there and I played it for easily 30, 40 minutes the first time, went back, played it again for 30 minutes just to make sure. Because I've been in that situation before where I bought an amp and not really played it properly and then realized, oh, man, I got to replace like 3 of the valves or it's gone, out of volume, something doesn't work right. So
sticking a valve in it wouldn't be the end of the world. But I mean, if all of a sudden, all the circuitry was trashed or, the guy left it someplace like maybe in a really humid environment, and the entire circuit board might be semi-ruined, unless you really get a chance to take the thing apart and look at it before you buy it, you tote that thing home and you'd be playing it along and you're like, what the hell did I do here?
Yeah.
I was actually just going to mention when you talk about a $400 fret job, the funny thing is since I've actually started investing in tools, I have a majority of guitar repair / setup and whatever tools now. The funny thing is in regards to the fret jobs, it's not so much the cost of the frets. The frets are relatively cheap. I thought they'd be like super expensive, but you can like find like Evo fret wire, like jumbo Evo fret wire on eBay, pre-cut to like certain lengths. You can pick it up for like $30-$40.
Yeah.
But what it is
sorry, Terry, I was going to say the $400 job was stainless steel frets as well. That's
That's exactly it. As soon as you want to do stainless, the price suddenly becomes a lot more expensive because it's so much harder on the tools, right?
Yeah, and that's just it. But the most reason why fret jobs are the most expensive is it's the labor and time intensive aspect of it.
Yeah.
Tapping them in, placing them in, then once you get them in, you got to make sure to level them off and crown them in the whole 9 yards. So I mean,
half the problem would be getting the old ones out, which doesn't sound. I mean, I've seen it done online, but I wouldn't want to risk it on the stuff that I own. There'd be no way I'd be doing that myself.
I know that feeling.
But
but
at least if you screwed it up, you can only be mad at yourself rather than you paying $400 to somebody.
For them to screw up
$400.
I'd still feel that the screw up of a guy I'm paying would be a whole lot less of a problem than the screw up I would do on my own. The guy that I take my guitars to, which is pretty infrequently, but anytime they do need new frets, he's great. Like even on maple fretboards with a really nice finish. My old Telecaster back there has a stainless steel frets in there, and it was just night and day, man. They're so good. And they won't wear out basically now too. So for me, $400 on a guitar I love was worth it.
Speaking
of a job it was a flawless job basically as well. He did a great job.
Speaking of frets, there seems to be quite a bit of variation in what they have. What do you like, everybody here? What do you like for frets? So without getting into 5140, let's just say. Wide, narrow, tall.
Yeah.
What do you like? What feels good to your hands?
6105s, man. No. I kind of like them to have a bit of height over being. I don't really like vintage frets only because they don't seem to last as long. Vintage frets are generally really, really shallow, or their heights are quite small and they're quite thin. I prefer them to be a little bit wider. The smallest fret I guess I like would be on a Les Paul style guitar or 335 where they're relatively low but they're still quite wide. On my Strats and Tellys, I like them a little bit larger. Like I think they're medium jumbos or something
medium
like that.
Medium jumbos, they call them, yeah.
Depends on the guitar too. You can get away with certain guitars feeling okay with smaller frets, but generally a little bit more is good. If it's a guitar you're playing a lot, regular vintage frets won't last long. They're too soft or they're too small or something like that. I'm not too sure what it is, but
I'm very much the same. Yeah, like the Fender got rid of the American Standard, and now they've replaced it with the American Professional again.
Yeah.
And they use a thin but taller fret wire on that.
Yeah, they're calling them narrow and tall, something like that.
Narrow,
right?
tall. Yeah, it's a jumbo. It's not technically a jumbo fret. It's like a medium jumbo, but thin.
Yeah.
And the best comparison I can make is the Stevie Ray Vaughan signature Stratocaster has got a jumbo fret, but it's narrow. And if you've ever played one, it's super easy to vibrato on.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going up and down the neck of your guitar a pile, you'd probably like a more rounder fret, just a full jumbo. For me, though, that tall, narrow, and stainless is just when you play a guitar with stainless frets, it changes your mind about how guitars work, because it's just night and day. It's you go from playing a guitar like an American Standard with medium jumbo frets on it to the same guitar with jumbo, narrow, stainless steel frets. You'll be thankful for spending that $400. It's well worth it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
How about you, Tara?
Again, as much as I've played again for like the last 6 years, I'm not too, into the technical side of things per se, but I can say, like, for example, for reference, the cheap Harley Benton acoustic I got, these frets I am not too crazy about, and they are more like a vintage thin fret.
They look pretty small.
Yeah, exactly, and that's
very small.
Like they're painted on.
Yeah, like, and that's even
just
after
showed
me
the
doing
frets
a
for the
fret
guitar.
job.
Yeah, wow.
Just even after doing a fret job, so somehow there's still just barely enough meat there that it actually makes it still playable. It still sounds good, but yeah, I would say I'm probably more around like the jumbo-esque, like on the TE52, they got like a bit of a thicker, kind of like you could say like a medium jumbo there. Another example would be the
you got a lot of guitars, Terry.
not compared to some people. Like the frets on this DBZ Imperial FM, that's, I'd say, probably more like a true jumbo, I'd say. And I do like these frets. I like somewhere probably, I'd say, between a medium and a jumbo. I definitely am not a fan of the smaller thin frets. So I'm probably like the rest is. I'd like that. And it's crazy. In regards to stainless steel and that, I think the DBZ might have stainless. I'm not sure about the Gibson, because when I ran 3000 grit sandpaper over it, it kind of leveled and flattened out pretty easily. And the reason why I mentioned the Evo fret wire is because the hyperallergenic aspect of it. So if you're someone that had was allergic to certain metals, silver. Yeah. Wow. So I mean,
never heard of that before. Wow, far out.
Yeah, some people are allergic to silver, and you get silver strings and stuff like that. They actually have they get like rashes on their hands from them.
Oh, far out.
What basically started me asking this question here, guys, and I appreciate your input on it, was that as Shane and I had spoken once before, I once upon had a Gibson faded something or other, and I have to tell you I wind up actually hating the guitar and bringing it back. But one of the things I disliked about it the most was that the frets almost felt like, the bumps they put in the highway to slow you down, speed bumps we call them here in the States. These frets felt like speed bumps. If you tried to run your hand, say you hit a bar chord and you want to slide it from the third to the fifth fret, just going over the frets in between was like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah, wow.
And it would actually knock my fingers off of position. So it just struck me that, obviously there are some frets that are such a combination of wide and tall that, for the feel to your hand, it's just not going to work. And that was for me. So it was one of the things I had, I've been looking at, over time. Put a different guitar in your hand. My Clapton's signature Strat has vintage ones on it. They are fairly low. They are fairly low. You can slide your hand up and down that neck, though, without,
cool.
if you want a chord shape and you just want to run it up a few frets, it goes up there without, the going over the speed bumps. But then again, too, I find a little bit, if I want to bend a little bit, I sort of lose the bend in it a little bit somehow. So just in my own journey here, guys, I'm looking. Thanks for your input, and we're just looking, to see, what feels how to whose hand.
I think sorry, go ahead, Pat.
No, go ahead, Shane.
I was just going to say, like the taller the fret, or to a point, the better it feels to bend. I think you can get more. You can sort of get more. What's the word? There's a word. Purchase on the
purchase. Yeah, you get more purchase out of it. Yeah, that's a good word. Yeah, know what you mean.
I don't know if this is going to focus here, but these are the 6105 stainless steel ones. So I'm only using the built-in webcam today. So, but
I can still see it.
No, it's pretty clear.
Yeah.
A decent height without being too tall and not too wide. So they're kind of, I don't know, they're just kind of good. A friend of mine said, try them out. You probably like them. And I didn't know a whole lot about frets, and I still don't know all the terms for them, but he was right. They do play really well on these sort of guitars. I don't know if I'd put these into, say, a Gibson, but for any of my Fender guitars, if my Strat needs a refret, I doubt it will. But if it ever does, I'm just going to have these put into that as well.
How about the feel of the frets changing the radius? Now your guitar right there probably, I'm guessing, has a 9.5-inch radius on it. Okay, now take that to a 12 or a 14-inch, and they probably don't feel right anymore.
Yeah, one of my friends suggested having the radius of the fretboard changed for the frets, and the guy just said, "Nah, what I'm going to do, I'll just shape the frets in relation to the fretboard, rather than having to sand back he goes, I can do that if you want, but he goes, I won't need to. I'll just set the frets up in a way that it doesn't choke anywhere. Yeah. Can bend it anywhere on this thing now. And it used to choke out all over the place because the frets had worn, and it probably needed some setup as well. But yeah, it feels better than it did before with the new frets. So it's crazy, man, these stainless steel ones. And he said, when I first played it, he goes, it might sound brighter to your ear. I don't know. I reckon it almost did. Something about I don't know if they were just brand new frets and brand new strings, but initially I was like, yeah, wow, it did actually sound a little bit brighter. So
I've heard the same thing, that stainless frets, you get sort of a brighter tone out of them if you.
Yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't. I would just think that as from the metallurgy part of it, that would be what you hear in your ear, something brighter.
Yeah, and it's funny. I had at one point in time, I had an American vintage reissue, 62 Fender Strat, which I still kick myself in the ass about selling. But it had the vintage frets on it, and it had the vintage 7.25-inch radius. And I play like blues, like Stevie Ray Vaughan, Jimi Hendrix, that sort of thing. And I just set the action high enough, and you can make it work, right? They did. So they could. I couldn't, right?
They not only made it work, they made a living at it.
Exactly.
A good living.
Yeah, I think on the Strat, you kind of got to wind up the action a little bit to get under the strings. It's just one of the guitars that doesn't it. You can kind of get away with a bit of a lower action on a Les Paul to some extent, but with the Strats and Tallies, I don't like them too low. I definitely like to. They're not a fight to play, but yeah, you want to be able to get under the strings and really rip them.
I wouldn't be surprised if that isn't reflected though in the radius of the neck, because you know when you mention the Les Pauls, those guys have 12s. Sometimes I think they even have 14 radius necks on them. You know, basically when you're talking your average Fender these days, you're talking a 9.5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Epiphone, apparently, I think if I remember reading correctly, Epiphone is now actually a 14-inch radius, and Gibsons are 12.
Gibsons are 12s, yeah.
Unless it's
Fenders.
an HP model, then it's the compound radius, I think 12 through 16 or something like that.
Yeah.
Fender's got some compound radius necks now.
They do.
Even on like the American Professional and the American Elites.
Yeah.
And some of the custom shop stuff, they've got compound radius from 9.5 to 14 on some guitars. They've got 9.5 to 12, I think, on the American Professional.
Yeah.
And they do compound radius and a compound neck shape too on the back. So
yeah, really. Talk about weird.
Yeah, they go all out.
Hey, I got something to show you guys. This is interesting. If sorry, Steve, I don't mean to cut off change the conversation here, but I got sent this, and I thought, oh, here we go. What the hell's in this thing? It came with this big piece of wax that was like, you know, those. I don't know if you've ever seen like Bram Stoker's Dracula. There's this when they send letters, they stamp that wax. The seal. Yeah, it had one of those on there. I was like, oh god, what's in this thing? So it came in a Hessian bag. I'm like, this is going to be a hand or a bloody, you know, someone's
voodoo
toe
doll
or something. Yeah.
Sorry, I'll be right back, guys. I just got to step out for a quick sec.
Yeah, no problems, mate. Cool.
Open the box and a bat flies out.
I got this. I hadn't heard of this company before. Obviously, I've been emailing back and forth, and I didn't realize. But this is it's called Dynamic Electric Audio. This pedal is. I thought it was going to be digital. Inside, 100% analog. It can do every type of effect.
Wow.
So it does everything from. Where's the instructions here? So basically with different combinations of this fuzz finder control, it does anything from like overdrive to distortion to fuzz. And then you've got this tone finder option over here, which basically will let you sort of shape the EQ stage of each of the distortions or fuzzes or whatever. It will do anything from like distortion, dumble, 60s fuzz, one called a choke massive. I'm not sure what that is. Lo-fi, overdrive, and fuzz, and lots of stuff in between too. So it literally is an all-in-one dirt pedal. It's crazy. I chucked it on the dumble setting, and it sounded really, really good. I tried it on distortion and one of the overdrives as well, and the fuzz as well. It's crazy. I really thought I was going to open this up and see that it was going to be some sort of digital effect, but. It's pretty cool. So for the folks watching who like pedals that can do lots of stuff, check out these folks. Hopefully that's coming through all right.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yep.
It looks the business. It looks really good. It's made in the US as well. I think Chicago from memory. And I'm going to be doing a demo of this pretty soon and seeing how it sounds. In context of music and all that. But I just played it through this little Bugera amp. Sorry?
No.
Oh.
Terry just sneezed. I said, good night.
Oh.
Thanks. Actually kind of almost looks like the way that stamping kind of cover is on the front of it there. Kind of reminds me of the company that did Jack Black's limited edition B Fuzz.
Okay, I don't know that one. I'll have to check that out. You're right. It's got that old school sort of 50s, radio look about it. I don't know. There's something very, very cool.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. Looks like you expect to see something with, RCA, with the dog looking in the megaphone,
I really dig it. And then when I found out it was all analog too, I thought, folks are going to love this. So it must have, the circuit board's crazy inside, but I was just going to say it must have, everything in one. I haven't seen anyone else do something like this. Maybe it has been done, but the fact is I haven't come across anything like this where it's all analog and you can literally turn it from a fuzz pedal to a dumble overdrive tone in, just by flicking a switch. It's pretty crazy. So
I can't say that I've stumbled onto anything yet that's like that, but I mean that would be probably like the true, Swiss Army knife to any true musician that plays like anything from clean to super high gain would be something like that. They'd be like perfect.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it'll do anything. So if you, well, I guess, I don't know, ideally whether or not you need more than one of these to be able to get everything that you want. But if you're one of those guys that like to mess around with your sound and try different pedals, you know, something like this does all of that stuff. So he can always mix your rig up one night, have a fuzz, mix it up, have an overdrive or a, you know, distortion or whatever. So it's pretty wild, man. I got to, you know, tip my hat off to this dude. He's done a really good job.
It's got enough switches and dials on it, though. It looks like it ought to be in a fighter jet.
yeah. There's a lot. I think the main one, or the main three, is this fuzz finder one. But once you lock that off to wherever you want, it actually it clicks. So you don't have to. You've really only got the three options. So it's simplified it that way. You don't have to sort of go in between anything. And this choke one is some sort of voice control kind of thing for it. I'm not as familiar with it yet. I only used it for about 25 minutes, just fiddling around here, and I followed all the presets in the manual. And yeah, it's really cool. The Dumble sound on here is one of the best. It's one of the best I've heard. So yeah, a bit of a shout out to these guys who I've never heard of, and they make some great stuff. It's insane.
Yeah, I would definitely say getting that handmade looking box and then the sack thing. I know I'd really be like wondering and then pull that out and be like going, wow, I'd be totally blown away too.
The only problem with those Hessian bags is as soon as you take it out of the little box, that crap goes everywhere. You literally have to vacuum. So those Hessian bags, man, I reckon he could just maybe put a cloth bag in there instead. The Hessian bags, they're a little bit crazy.
Got to open.
Actually, we've just got some. Oh, sorry, Steve. Go ahead.
I was just going to joke and say you have to open the box with a gas mask on.
Yeah, like I said, when it turned up, I was like, "What the hell's this?" It was just this black box. I was like, "Oh man!" And it's very rare I get stuff.
Shake and see if something's ticking.
Yeah, it's very, very rare I get something in a painted or spray painted wooden box as well. So that was crazy. BV Ninja asks, Shane, is the production Greenchild K818 any different to the prototype? I have that one from Mason. Slightly, I think. Depends which prototype you bought. If you got the one from him, then it's going to be pretty much the same. If you got the one that I had on my website, it is going to be different. So yeah, it just depends on where you got that from. Yeah, my initial one that I was sent, I gave Mason some feedback and asked him to swap a few things out, and it's also going to have a different the faceplate things done now too, so it'll cosmetically look different. But overall, the clon side should be pretty much the same. So I also got asked, how long is my gig tonight? So I'm playing a New Year's Eve gig with Rick and Brian, and another mate of mine, Drew, who was on my This Drive album. We finally get to play some of those tunes live. So yeah, it should be fun. We're all, I don't want to say we're losers, but we might be. We didn't really have much going on. So I said to him, how about we all just turn up at a place and have a play? So I rang a pub that I know quite well, and I said to him, you got any bands on tonight? He goes, no. I said, all right, we're coming up. So we put together.
You do now.
Yeah, and it's good timing because I get to play the new amp. Brian gets to play his new amp, and Rick gets to use my Super Reverb. So, and then we're all going to swap amps every set. I think that's going to be part of the plan, just to have some fun. So I may stream that on YouTube. I don't know what it's going to, I don't even know what we're going to be playing. So it's going to be an interesting sort of gig, but these guys are pretty talented. So we're going to be playing from 8:30 p.m. my time to midnight. So we're lucky we got Rick. He knows all the hits. If we play a 30-minute version of April Sun in Cuba, mate, it'll be the last gig I ever play.
The 30-minute version of Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, oh, mate. Yeah.
Or Inagata Davida.
Inagata Davida.
Yeah. And what's the other? Knocking on Heaven's Door, man. That's the one you can just play until you can do that for a set if you're lucky.
Yeah.
That's the one that just keeps them going. Robert Burgess asks all of us, do any of you guys use an EQ pedal in your rig? I'll start this off by saying no.
No.
Nope.
I used to. Years ago, I had a Boss GE7, I think is what they call it, the 7-bit EQ. It was a time when I was chasing tone, and I was trying to get a certain tone out of a 410 DeVille, and I couldn't get it. And I tried this Boss EQ pedal just to boost the bottom end a little bit. And basically, the moral of the story is no, I don't use a Boss EQ pedal anymore.
Yeah. Yep. You got a super reverb now, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
that's a good question for you too, man. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Keep going.
No. Go for it.
No, I'll cut you off. Go.
No, I was just going to say, it was just, some people will use them to take sort of the top end, or try to take some of the top end off of their tone. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, if you've got to fiddle around with an EQ pedal too much, you got something in your chain that's not working right.
Yeah, I agree. I was going to ask you because I didn't know you owned a DeVille 410, but you also
years
now
ago,
have super reverb. What's your thoughts on either of those and how they compare? Because I get asked a lot, even just today, like, what's my thoughts on the DeVille versus the super reverb, and mine's a 212, so there's not, they're two different beasts basically. But yeah,
when I had the 410 DeVille, it was years ago. I mean, it was my late teens, early 20s when I had that 410 DeVille, and it was a great amp. The clean tone was amazing, and and at the time I didn't have any pedals, I didn't have any pedal board, nothing like that. I was a dummy essentially. I was trying to get sounds out of an amp that you couldn't get out of that amp unless you had pedals. The clean channel was great. I mean, it was a great amp. But I mean, it's just the super reverb is just a completely different beast. Just a completely different beast. Even the reissues now with the PCB boards, it's just it's a whole other nature of things. But the 410 DeVille, if you're looking for that punchy sort of, that really tight low end tone, you can't argue with the price point on a 410 DeVille, especially if it's used. If that's the tone you're looking for, if that's where you want to go, that blackface circuit from the mid 60s, you can't replace it. You play a 110 DeVille or a 112 DeVille, and then you go play a 65 blackface reissue deluxe, and they just sound like different amps. They don't sound the same.
They do. Yeah.
So that's sort of, they're a great amp if it's the starting point for you, or if you want to sort of capture some of that tone. But there's no replacement.
And they're huge too, aren't they? Yeah, you're right. I mean, they're massive amps.
They're exactly the same size.
Yeah.
They're pretty much the same size as a super, and they weigh just as much. They weigh a ton.
Yeah, I think I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they could be even heavier, because I think the cabinets on the DeVilles might be slightly deeper than a super reverb. I don't know. I don't know if it translates to much in pounds or kilograms or whatever, but it's one thing. Actually, a guy I know has got a 410 DeVille, and it's on wheels, man. I don't even know they came with wheels. He wheels it in and out of when he has to go somewhere with it, because it's a beast. It's an absolute beast.
Yeah,
but,
I'm searching for the weight right now to see how much they weigh.
Yeah.
It's one of those amps that comes with your own Sherpa.
Yeah, absolutely, man. They're huge. They're absolutely huge.
I was just going to say, it's funny. I'm looking on the local Kijiji right now for Barrie. Peavey Classic 50 4x10 model. Foot switch tubes are perfect. Reverb is close to mint condition. Trade for Princeton or Deluxe Reverb.
I tell you what, Terry, that
$499.
Oh, that is so cheap. That particular amp is the best amp Peavey make, in my opinion. That 410 Classic 50 or whatever it is. Man, that thing, one of the best tones I've ever heard in my life was this guy who I don't really ever aspire to play like or whatever. He was a good guitar player, but not really my style. That amp up loud, man, was unbelievable. I reckon it's their flagship amp, in my opinion, Peavey. That's just unreal. But you can't lift it.
Yeah. I think, you know what? Those Tweed Peavey amps, like the 115 that they had, I think they're probably some of the most underrated amps of the last 30 years. Yeah. They're incredible amps, yeah.
Yeah, wow, what a deal, man. They're $1,100 here normally.
Wow.
The Peavey Classic 50s.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to lug it around, that's for sure.
Oh, no, they're extremely heavy. Like, I'm pretty sure they'll outweigh the Super Reverb in terms of they're beasts. I'm gonna have to look that up as well.
The official Fender ruling on the weight of the 410 DeVille is 50 pounds, and they say that the Super Reverb weighs 65. So,
and say that again, sorry.
The Fender says that the DeVille 410, so the Hot Rod DeVille 410, weighs 50 pounds.
Yeah.
And the 65 Super Reverb reissue is 65.
Wow. Okay.
So you get 15 pounds of tone.
That's the new tone wood. Is how heavy it is.
Yeah. Exactly.
So the Peavey Classic 50 410s is 59.6 pounds. So 60 pounds.
That's amazing.
God. Weight packed is 66 pounds if it comes in a box. Good luck with that. That's crazy.
In other words, the equivalent of lifting 4 Les Pauls.
You know, yeah, exactly. Have you noticed Google's changed recently where you can type in like something and it will bring it up. You don't actually have to click through to the website.
Yeah.
God.
Hey, look, there's one of my videos. That's an old video from years ago. But yeah, that particular feature's awesome now. I mean, it probably sucks for the owner of the website, but yeah, you can literally just type in how heavy is this or how far is it to wherever, and it comes straight up in this little box.
Google wants to keep you in Google. They don't want you to go to the website. They want to keep you seeing advertisements and
absolutely
making them money.
Reminds me of that website for your annoying friends that always come to you about something and you end up going, okay, you just type it into Google. So they got an actual short form. Let me Google that for you. So you just put this short formed address to it and you see it. It's let me Google that for you. And the website has the Google input and it'll actually type it in and then hit enter and all the results show up.
Yeah. Far out. We got to ask, has anyone ever played a Peavey 40-watt Envoy amplifier? One of the red stripe ones.
I've never had the opportunity to play a Peavey, period.
Oh, Steve, mate, you're gonna be banished from the live streams, mate.
I'm gonna have to come over to your house one of these days just so I can say I have.
Yeah, mate, you're more than welcome to. That'd be hilarious. Let me see if we've got some pictures here of it. Oh yeah, so these are the smaller. Sorry, I'm just bringing up the sharing. Yeah. So I haven't tried one of these. I've actually got a Peavey Studio Pro 112 it's at Brian's place right now, but I haven't played one of these before. But I'm sure they'd be all right for a practice amp. I don't know how many watts they are, but probably 40 watts or something.
Yeah, I
10.
think the Envoys are supposed to be single 10, 40 watt. That's what they've kind of always have been over the years.
Yeah. I haven't tried one. I haven't actually played one before, so I don't know. Someone just asked if we had, but anyone else tried one? Pat, you
No.
tried one, mate?
No.
You're a Peavey fan?
Well, you know what? I've played, that classic series. I've played a lot of the Tweed classic series. I've played Red Stripe Bandit, but I've never that one that you're talking about in particular. I've never touched it. No.
Oh wait, you know what, guys? I'm sorry, I misspoke. I did play a Peavey amplifier one time. It was my brother-in-law's.
Were you being held hostage?
Against my will, yeah. The big, tall Russian guy at the doorway wasn't going to let me out,
Yeah.
Cool. No, the Peavey stuff's pretty good. I mean, they do have some design flaws in some of their amps, but generally that like I said, that classic 5410s is an absolute beast. If you ever get a chance to turn one of them up loud, do it. It's almost as good as a super reverb. It's different, but it's that kind of feeling of holy crap, where's all this sound coming from? Like, yeah. And
I know actually.
Go ahead, Terry.
Sorry. Oh, I was just going to say, I know to finish like talking about the Peavey thing, I actually did for the longest time want one of the Delta Blues.
Oh yeah,
Peaveys, and those were going at a pretty decent rate on the used market.
Yeah, the new, like, this is one of the times and the only times I'll ever say the old ones are better. I don't often say old amps are better than new amps.
It's true
because of reliability and the variances and all that kind of stuff. But the reverb tanks on the Delta Blues, the current ones, I don't know. Hopefully they've fixed it because I kind of publicly humiliated them a few times.
I remember that video. Yeah.
Basically, if you turn the reverb up to, it's not like a normal reverb tank. So having like a Fender on 3 is quite a lot of reverb. With the Delta Blues, you've got to turn it up to about half before you feel it. And at home volumes, it's fine. But as soon as you turn the amp up to sort of like, say, 9 or 10 o'clock on the volume, so it's not even quite that loud yet, you start the tank, the vibrations of the speaker of the cabinet will oscillate the reverb tank. So it gets on this perpetual like loop of audio. And you can't stop it. I tried packing it with foam. I tried like 2 or 3 different reverb tanks. I put a Peavey reverb tank in there. There's something to do with the box or I heard from another tech that the actual circuit, the reverb circuit has quite a lot of noise in it as well, whether it's the pot. I don't really understand it, but something to do with the actual electronics part, not the tank. It's something to do inside the head. But yeah, just be careful if you do go to buy one. Make sure you can turn it up to halfway on the volume with the reverb halfway up, and it not have it all further, and it not just start to loop. I could literally turn my amp on with the volume at half, reverb at half, tap the head, and it would go. And it would just go. It would take off. So awesome sounding amps, like one of my favorite combos, but I hated the fact the reverb was useless on it. It really was. And my friend had the older version of the Delta Blues, and it was perfect. He had no problems with it at all. So I don't know what they did, but it wasn't just one amp. Peavey, the poor rep from Peavey, he came around to my house like 2 or 3 times because it got off, it got sent, it came back, it got sent off again, came back. And this went on and on. So he ended up bringing another amp over. He goes, "This one's fine." So I turned it up to halfway, tapped it. Did it again. So I said, "Look, thanks for your help. I'll just hold on to it." And I sold it on eBay. I got rid of it. So be very, very careful of their reverb. So,
well, that was kind of what happened to my Special 112. The reverb started doing like that. It would start going, and then put
I've got to call it a night, gentlemen.
Oh, okay, cool, Pat.
I'm going to skip out. All right. You guys all have a great New Year, okay?
Take care. Happy New Year.
You too, man. Yeah. Cool. Thanks for joining in, mate. I'll see you next year. Cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next year.
Yeah. So we just, Toe Britton just says, just bought a Peavey Red Stripe Rage 158 yesterday for 99 Australian dollars, thanks to effing Shane. started me off on a gas. What's it? Yeah, Shane starting me off on a new gas the other month. I'm not sure what that. Sorry. Oh, anyway, so he's got a new Peavey amp basically based on the influence of gas. So good stuff, man. Yeah, the Peaveys are multiplying, man. They're everywhere. They are absolutely everywhere. Another guy on YouTube that I'm subscribed to, whose name has escaped me right now. I'm horrible with names. He just got one. The reverb tank wasn't working, unfortunately, or wasn't working properly. But he picked one up for $99. So another bandit, another guy with Dan Lopez. That's it. So yeah, he's got a red stripe bandit as well. So it looks like you guys are next.
I have always liked the bandit line. It's just so funny that you guys have actually talked about it, because I remember that was one of the amps I think I was looking at the time, but instead they didn't have any in stock at the local music store here in town. So that's why I ended up getting that special 112 that basically blows your ears off, the like 180 solid state watts that it had. It was just crazy. I remember cranking it up down here, and I remember the walls like reverberating from the loudness, and I was like, holy crap. And then of course my ears were ringing for like 3 hours later. It's like, okay, that was
well. When I got the DeVille, I had it cranked up in this room, and I've got one of those, like what they call in Australia the nana heaters. They're those gas things with the old school grill across the front. I had that was going nuts, right? Like it couldn't handle the bass or something. It just started oscillating, and then the toaster started. It's like, so I was like, all right, it could be a little bit loud now.
Yeah, it's the same thing, like I said, with this VIP2 that I got. It's got the bass port, I guess, for the bass aspect of playing through it. But if I do anything that's like the baritone setting, the drop D setting on it, or bass, if I do it up enough, there's a light fixture, I'd say about 5 feet back this way.
Yeah.
And I've only got the master on like 3.5, 4. That light fixture will just start going like crazy, and I'm just like, wow, like I can't believe that.
Yeah. You know it's too loud if your fillings start falling out. So just be aware of that one. So Dom Fran just asks, do you think you'll ever go back to Vox amps, Shane? I'm going Vox crazy lately. I played Vox amps exclusively for probably 3 years. I had a AC30 C2 and a AC15 C1, and they were great. They were really, really good. The only Vox amp I might get down the track if I ever wanted the Vox sound would be one of those AC10s. I kind of like the 10-inch speaker version of that. I think they're plenty loud and they sound pretty cool. I don't think I'd ever get an AC30 again, just based on the physical size of it, and it's not really the sound I'm going for anymore. But it's an awesome sound. There's times where you plug a Telecaster into a Vox, and it's the best. So look, I go through phases with stuff. I've rebought and sold the same amp more than once, so maybe I'll end up with a Vox. I just don't see it just right now. But any of you guys tried Vox amps? Sorry, Terry, go ahead.
I was going to say, talking about Vox reminds me of the Pathfinder 10-inch. That was another one that's like what you had just got there with the Bugera. Another low wattage amp that has reverb or something to it, where a lot of people take them and mod them up into like bigger combos with like bigger speakers or whatnot. And yeah, I don't think I've played around with too many Vox amps, but I've kind of plucked around on, I think, a few, just checking them out. Like, I think one of the modeler ones. So it's just kind of like, I know they're not as nice as like some of those other all tube amps.
Years ago, I played with a guy who had a Vox Super Beetle, and
I don't know that one.
He was very protective about this thing. He wouldn't let anybody around it. He even had little signs that says, "Yes, this is a Super Beetle," because it was supposedly, I don't know, McCartney or whoever the hell had in the Beatles, used that exact model, but I didn't see a lot of folks using Vox amps.
Yeah, they're more British
yeah,
thing, I think.
that was it.
Yeah.
There you go. And it was a cool amp. It was a cool amp. It was powerful. Had a nice sound to it too. But he wouldn't let any of us go near it or touch it, much less, can I plug my guitar into it? No.
What is it? I could be wrong. Is there 8 10-inch speakers in there? Or is it? That's crazy. Oh, hang on. With 4 12-inch Celestions. Wow, okay. So it's 4 12s. That's a beast.
Actually, he didn't let me get close enough to know how many speakers was in it. That's how protective he was of it.
Man, that's crazy. I like how it comes in this sort of like
412s.
But it was quite the conversation piece.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. I've never seen one of them before. That's crazy.
I only ever saw that one. And he was the proud owner. He was just gushing all over it. Super Beetle. Yeah, okay, cool.
Oh, that's like that one guy that popped up on here the one time who had all those Marshalls behind him. Do you remember that, Shane?
Yeah. The American dude. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just like, oh my God. Marshall.
Yeah, he has lots of them,
I think he had at least 8 heads behind him. I was like, my God.
That dude was cool. He came on for probably 2 or 3 streams in a row, and then I haven't seen him since.
Strange.
Yeah, I think he was like from the south or something. I remember his accent was pretty thick. He was a funny guy. Yeah, you're right. He had, I think, the solid state Marshalls from memory as well. Maybe he had like a whole lot of those piled up. Yeah, I do remember that actually.
He had so many of them behind him. It reminded me, of the days, when I did play out, and before you had PAs and everything, when you had to take your amplifier and push the sound out. You'd see guys with walls of Marshalls. They'd be stacked like 3 and 4 tall and like 3 wide, and they could probably drown out a subway train coming into the coming up to the stop. But yeah, I had a little flashback looking at that.
And now the 15 watts are almost too loud. The 15 watt Blues Juniors at some places. It's crazy. There's something fun about being able to turn up loud when you're playing. There is a great feeling behind that. I think, like the place we're playing tonight is a room where we can turn up, and that's part of the fun. Like it's more for us. 2 out of 3 of us have got new amps, so to be able to use your amp at a volume that is going to sing is so much more fun than playing, or they call it wallpaper band, where you're just sort of in the background. No one's listening, and you don't want anyone to pay attention to you. So it's going to be fun just cranking them up and blast them. There won't be many people there, I'm guessing, as well, because New Year's. I don't know. I'd like to hope a few people turn up, but you never know for New Year's Eve gigs. Either it's going to be busy or it won't, but either way, we can still make some noise. So we're looking forward to having some fun.
There are certain things that just the volume is almost part of the genre that has to go along with it. Years ago, I had an opportunity to be at a U.S. Air Force base, and they had an acrobatic team. And one of the guys drops down on the deck, and he flies about 30 feet off the deck, lights his afterburner, sonic booms in front of the crowd.
Yeah, wow.
Straight up into the sky like he was a rocket. But you know what? After that, I could never hear a jet aircraft that just didn't have that boom sound to it, So when you get someplace and you can turn up your amplifier, it's sort of the same thing. Certain things just need a certain amount of volume to give that visceral satisfaction somehow.
Yeah, I did a radio show on like a live to air thing in the studio with the guys, and I had my Blues Deluxe amp, and Brian had his smaller. I think it's a 18 watt amp or whatever. And we're playing, all of us are playing, like Mark, the drummer, had a stripped down kit, and Jeff only had a little bass amp speaker with him. We didn't want to go too nuts in there. Good old Rick turns up with this amp. Oh, it's only 12 watts. So he plonks it down. He must have had it on 10. Like, it was ridiculous. Like, he just gets that. He knows what sound he wants, so he just runs it at maximum all the time. It's crazy. So we're in this little room, and as soon as he started soloing, we all started laughing. Like, we're just like, what? couldn't hear the drums, couldn't hear anything, but he was in the zone. So it was, if he's got the confidence to be able to run his amps that loud all the time, then good on him. But yeah, for him, having it turned down isn't fun, so he won't do it. That's the point of where I was getting at. Like he just won't play soft because that's what the room needs. He'll turn it up to where he's happy with it.
Well, he also makes better guitar faces when it's up loud too. So
yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, he's the king of the guitar face. So we've got David's here as well in the chat. Merry Christmas, man. He says Merry Christmas to everybody. We got Ariel Smarty Pants in here. We've got lots of folks watching. We've got 39 people watching. So I hope everyone had a good Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever it is you celebrate, or if you don't celebrate anything, I hope it was still fun. Hope you had a good weekend or whatever. And New Year's Eve is here tonight, so I might stream the gig. So keep a look on my Facebook page. If I'm going to stream it to In the Blues, I think, rather than my band page. So I don't know what we're going to be doing, but if you're at a loss for doing something later or early tomorrow morning, if you're overseas, fire up the Facebook In the Blues Facebook page, and I'm going to see if I can stream the gig, see if it'll work. The sound quality is surprisingly good from those phones. It's a lot better than when I tried doing a stream a while back with a computer and webcam and all that kind of crap. So Matt asks, what pedal board have I got for tonight? Just the same old one. It's right down here. I'll go grab it. I've got the same stuff you've seen a million times. Actually, I was going to almost mix it up tonight, but God, it's a mess. I've got my, I don't know if this is going to work. It's as heavy as the amp. So that's what I'm using at the moment. I got the analog delay, the Maxon AD10, the Anarchy Audio tremolo pedal, the Royal Flush dual overdrive, clon, and a tuner, and I got a wah pedal. I almost wanted to try this out at a gig, but I haven't Velcroed it up yet. This beast, the Tape Echo pedal, but it means I'm going to have to, it's not going to fit because it's quite large, which means I could almost put this guy on instead of the clon and then it would fit. But yeah, I'm going to wait until I've gotten tonight out of the way. I like to use all of my familiar stuff when I'm playing a new amp. It won't mess with my head that way. So yeah.
What happened to your 808?
I've still got it. Yeah, I got a small board now, which basically has other stuff on there that just makes it like if I go to a jam night, I'm not necessarily going to take the big board all the time. Depends on the amp I take too. Sometimes I just take the Peavey amp and I can either just use the drive channel or I might just want a tuner and one extra overdrive. So I've got a small board I can use for the 808 or the 820 or another type of clon that I've got as well. So yeah, I go through phases with stuff. There'll be times where the clon will come off. There'll be time, maybe not the clon, but there'll be times where I'll mix stuff up just not out of boredom, but out of curiosity. So yeah.
1 minute you'll be into a 3-foot pedal board. Next minute you'll be into an 8-foot pedal board.
That's exactly,
that'd be crazy.
You're absolutely right, man. I was talking to Rick about this the other day. I thought to myself, I almost want to make my board larger again because ideally I'd like to have 2 delay pedals. I like having analog delay on all the time. Even if I'm just playing chords, I like to have it not prominent in the mix, but just there to kind of fill out the sound a little more. You don't know, it's not like a U2 sort of effect or anything. But then there's times where I do a big solo and I want the delay to be more in your face. So I'm almost thinking I'd really love to have 2 delay pedals on there. And then I was thinking I'd actually really love to put that. I demoed a pedal called Rat Pedals. What was it called? It was a distortion, a SD.
Recently,
yeah. Yeah. That overdrive distortion pedal was so good. I'd love to just do one big solo a night with it. and have that on there just for kicks. Like use the same pedals all night until the end or whatever, and then just click on this one pedal. It just goes bananas. So that would be fun. So I'd actually like to almost get a board that could fit maybe 2 more pedals and Pedal Train actually make one that's slightly wider than this now. So, excuse me. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what happens in the new year. So a few folks have asked again, where will I be streaming the gig? I'm on Facebook, so facebook.com/INTHEBLUES. The reason I'm going to do it to Facebook rather than YouTube is because the app on the phone is so much better for Facebook than streaming to YouTube live from a phone isn't easy. It's not as easy. I can literally load up an app and go stream, and it's there. So facebook.com/INTHEBLUES.
You did one on YouTube that came out okay, though. You streamed one of them on YouTube. It came out all right.
That was the first one that I tried. I used a HD webcam, but the problem is with I used this microphone as well, but I also had the problem of sorry, Terry's got a call. The problem I had with using the condenser mic was the limiting on Google Plus Hangout. It tends to it'll compress the audio. It actually does compress it, unlike YouTube, where you sort of lose a lot of your dynamics. It'll bring up the quiet sections. It will squish the loud sections, and it ended up sounding really weird audio-wise. I listened back, and I was like, "This is not how it should have sounded." The mobile phones don't have that problem. They stream audio much better. So yeah, if I do it tonight, I'm gonna have I'm gonna do it from my phone, and it should look whole lot better. Even though it'll be a square image, I think, for whatever reason. But yeah, it should be good.
The square image.
Yeah, the old school square.
Yeah, the old 4x3 format. Yeah,
that's the one. It wasn't that long ago. We all had those CRT computer monitors.
Yeah.
Those ones that were about this deep. Now, I'm like this epic flat screen thing now. It's crazy.
And talk about getting heavy. They were really getting heavy there too.
Oh yeah, they were absolute beasts.
I had a CRT television that had about a 32-inch frame on it, and man, when I tried to move that thing around, I had to call somebody to give me a hand. It was too big to hold on to by myself.
Yeah, wow.
It was a beast. It was a beast.
Yeah.
Talking about the old CRT monitors, my God, if you could ever get your hands on one of the 24-inch Sony CRT monitors, it was like heaven until you actually had to pick up and move the damn thing.
Yeah.
It literally was like 60 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. Sony always made good quality screens, monitors or TVs. Back in the old days, the CRT ones were some of the best.
Yeah, now for about the last 5 years, most of their stuff is actually Samsung internally.
Yeah. Well, they're the kings. They're the kings of the monitors. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah,
all their LCD screens are awesome, or LEDs or whatever they're using now.
What's the new screen that's coming out soon? It's not LED. It's OLED.
It's OLED. I think it's
OLED,
like an optic. It's like an optic LED or something like that.
It's supposed to be the cat's ass of what's coming up next. And I had also heard that next year's iPhone 8 is going to be that same OLED kind of thing too. So interesting.
Yeah, far out. Man, it's
still expensive.
Yeah, sure.
I walked into a JB Hi-Fi shop here, which is like a electronics kind of shop just for TVs and all that kind of stuff. And they had I think it was like a 70 or 60 inch 4K curved TV.
Wow.
And no joke, man, the definition was, I looked at it and it was like higher res than real life. When you just look around and you go, oh yeah, your eyesight's always going to be superior to anything. It was like you couldn't handle the awesomeness of these new screens. They're just insane. Like my old TV, I just got a HD, normal flat screen, whatever. But the 4K these new televisions, man, they're on a whole other level. Anyway, it's a whole other conversation. But I've never seen a picture that wasn't a freeze frame or a still image look as good as this. It was mind blowing.
I think they're going 5K next too.
Yeah, well, that's not surprising. I got a 5K computer monitor on my Mac, but you get used to it, and it's not like it fills the room. When you see one that fills the room and you can't pick the pixels, that's a whole other thing. It's crazy. But yeah, so I got asked the question. Where'd it go?
Ed asked something about the Blues Junior.
Yeah, that was what I was looking for. Where was it? The Blues Junior is my favorite amp. What is it you like about them? I would say the benefits are you can use them at home.
Yeah,
they're
definitely.
light.
Yeah,
they're light. They have a decent drive sound built in. They're really reliable, and they're easy to speaker mod as well. You can just literally pull it back out and put a different speaker in if you're gonna do that. Though I guess the cons of them are they're not a huge sounding amplifier in terms of how much space they'll fill. They're not like a 40-watt Fender amp. It's a whole different ball game. But if you're playing it, sorry, Steve, go ahead.
I was just going to say they were a little thin on the low end.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I really wished it had is I really do like standby switches, and it didn't have a standby switch. You had to turn it on or turn it off. But I did notice the difference in the low end when right when I got my Blues Deluxe, and I took it home and plugged it in, and like all of a sudden, like the low E string is just like, wow, there it is, and you really didn't see that on the Blues Junior, but Blues Junior is a very cool amplifier. Yeah,
they are good. They record well. If you're doing, I've used it on albums for myself and other people, where guys walk into the studio, put it down, and put a mic in front of it, and it records great. So if you're not a pedal guy and you just want an amp that has a built-in, overdrive sound, all that kind of stuff, they're good. One other con is they don't really have a really great clean. Like the cleans are good, but it's not gonna get loud and clean if that's what you need. Blues Juniors aren't your thing, but they take pedals well, and like I said, they're pretty versatile. They still get loud, but they just don't have that big full clean sound of the
loud clean. Yeah, they start breaking up when you start tweaking the volume. Yeah,
that's it. But yeah,
we also have been corrected about the OLED thing. Mark's Naughty Guitar and BV Ninja has said it is organic light emitted diode.
There you go.
OLED.
Oh, okay. All right. So we got asked from Michael, any thoughts on the Marshall DSL 40C? Yeah. Oh, it's Mitchell. Sorry, Mitchell. I tried one of these. I thought that was going to be the amp that I needed for whatever reason. So I went and had a play on one, and I thought the clean channel was great. And then I thought I don't need another great clean channel. I've already got two amps that have awesome clean channels. So I popped it over to the drive channel, which was the first drive channel, which was great. The first dirty stage of the amp is pretty good. The crunch kind of thing is okay. The second one was awful. If you're playing rock and roll or that kind of stuff, you might enjoy it more than what I did. For me, in the end, the clean channel was the king of the show, and it would take pedals extremely well. The only other thing, and I'm going to be a little bit biased here, is the amps are made in Indonesia, and for the price they were asking in Australia, considering Indonesia is like closer to me than anywhere else, it was ridiculous. Like I can't justify the price of paying that much for an Indonesian amp. And same with Music Man amps. Music Man amps they sound great. I don't know if they're reliable based on the fact that they're relatively new. The new ones that they've come out with, but they want almost 2,000 for an Indonesian made amp, and there's not a chance. Like no
for that price, you might as well go right to their back door and grab it right off the rack.
Yeah, really.
Well, it's crazy. Like I actually sent Music Man an email. I said, "How can you justify the price of these amps? They're made in Indonesia, like And, the quality might be fine. I'm not saying they're going to be crap, but it's an unknown at the moment. Like they're a reissue of an old amp that's really well made in the US to being made in Indonesia with I don't know what kind of quality control, and they're commanding these huge dollars. And I said, these are the list of amps I could buy for exactly the same price that are made anywhere else in Australia, made in the US, made in England. I said, this is what you're competing with at a price that's unrealistic. I said, they're not going to. You need to drop the price. I said, if they were like $1,100, people would actually go, oh, it's kind of worth the risk. But for $2,000. You can buy a lot of good stuff in Australia for $2,000, and I kind of felt the same way a little bit about the DSL 40C. Based on the price versus where it was made, I was a little uncertain whether or not I trust the reliability of it. And I think overall, like the stuff made in Mexico is trusted. People go, okay, the stuff's good. It's made 40 kilometers over the border or wherever. So
by the same guys.
Yeah, by the same guys. So it's different. The trust factors there. Even a lot of stuff out of China is really well made. Like Peavey Bandit's last bloody 20 years, So that's one thing I've always wondered about was reliability of amps that just have the name but don't have the okay, I should also say some of the old DSL 40Cs are supposed to be awesome. I haven't played those. So that's the short answer.
I did get a chance to spend a little time with this particular Marshall amp in Guitar Center a while ago. I was a little underwhelmed. I thought I would be more regaled by the sound that came out of it, and it was okay. Yeah. But you know what? Like you said, it seemed not quite all that flexible. And it was, I guess, decent enough for a dirty channel. But myself personally, and this is my own personal opinion here, I'd rather have a clean amp that I can dirty than a dirty amp I can't clean. And that's sort of what that Marshall felt like to me. It was a dirty amp I couldn't clean. But, I guess maybe that's why I gravitate towards Fenders. You get a good Fender with a clean sound, you can stick pedal on it and make it as dirty as you want.
Yeah,
but you can't take some Marshalls and do the same thing.
Hmm. Look, I didn't mind their clean channel. I thought it was okay. I just didn't think it was, I'm a bit of a Fender snob. I really like Fenders. I'll take a Fender clean channel over any boutique amp that I've played in the last forever. Like, I don't care what brand it is. I've played them all. I played a lot of amps. I haven't played a Dumble yet, but like I said earlier, we went and played a whole lot of boutique amps at this shop in Melbourne here, and the Fender Supersonic 60 just killed them. Killed them all. Killed it. The clean channel was better. The dirty channel was better. Like, yeah, and the price was better. So,
well, there you go.
Yeah, it ticked all the boxes for my mate, and I don't know. I'll have a hard time knowing the way that I like my rig to sound. I'll have a hard time playing any other brands now, and that comes back to that whole Vox thing I got asked earlier. I really don't think. Right now, I'm in a place where I want to mess with what I got. I'm pretty happy with the sounds. I might add to the collection, but odds are it'll be another Fender amp. Might be a deluxe reverb or something. I don't know. Yeah, it's because I already had one of them or two of them. But anyway, it's for another. That's for next
really
year.
What I'd like to pick up. I was actually, before I got sick a couple of weeks ago, I was really thinking about going down to Guitar Center and trading in my Mustang 3 for a deluxe reverb, a 65 deluxe reverb.
Yeah, man, they're awesome amps.
A blackface,
yeah, they're fantastic, mate. That's in terms of 22 watt combos, that's as good as it gets.
Yeah, it's not so powerful that you shake your house when you turn it up. You can turn it up, and that's also one that will stay relatively clean at modest volumes. And so if you want it dirty, you can throw a pedal on it, but you can still play it a little louder clean, where if that's what you want, you can still have it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're one of the best. Some guys say that deluxe reverbs don't take pedals that well. I reckon they're one of the best pedal platform amps ever. I mean, Pro Guitar Shop demos, that's all he uses is a deluxe reverb. So,
Yeah.
you know, and that's all I used to use too for years was a deluxe reverb on just about every demo because they're like the clean platform that all others are judged by. So we've got John. John's joined us. How are you, John?
Oh, mate, I wish I could say I was good. I'm sick as a dog.
Oh, man.
It's going around, John.
Mate, I tell you, it's been going around here. I tell you, my throat is ruined. Got to the point. I nearly called Triple O yesterday morning. I thought it was going to close up.
Yeah, wow.
I thought I was going to beat it without going to the docs, but I got myself on the antibiotics now, and I should be right.
Yeah, well, I had exactly the same. I had exactly the same thing last time I did one of these live streams. Man, I was sick and not in a. It lasted like nearly 3 weeks or something like that. So.
Yeah, this has been going since Boxing Day. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I didn't want to miss the opportunity to even just jump on for a couple of minutes and say hi to you guys.
Hey, no worries, man. Thanks for joining in.
Always good to hear from you, John.
And I just got to ask, is it echoing this time?
No, it sounds good.
I'm using my phone, but it's going through the Wi-Fi, so I'm just wondering if it's going to be okay. Yeah,
it's perfect. I can hear something in the background, but it sounds like a TV or something. So it's.
I'm outside, mate. I'm on the balcony. Beautiful Sydney day.
There you go.
Oh, there we go.
Nice.
So I'm a bit high up.
How would you like to trade that in for some snow, John?
I went to the snow once.
Yeah, that's it.
Once and once only, huh?
Yeah.
When I was a kid, it was a school camp actually. But I've never sort of got into the whole thing of skiing. And actually, I lie. I went to the snow twice. The second time, a bunch of mates of mine, we all went up and they all went skiing, and me and Pete stayed behind and played pool in the games room.
Yeah.
We opened the back door and put the beer straight into the snow, and we were right.
Yeah, nice. You know, I'm not much of a snowman either. Like I've been a few times, but you know, anytime I can wear shorts and a t-shirt, I love it. The sun's streaming in my window here at the moment. I don't know if I can. Man, I've
been loving your Instagram pics of I don't know where you are at the beach and that, but
yeah. Are you in? Can you see the beach from where you are?
Nah, man. As you can see, I'm right near the airport at Mascot.
Okay, cool.
I'm not far from a bunch of beaches actually. So that's one good thing about here. That sort of there's a few options.
Yeah, cool.
Whereas where I used to live in Melbourne, it's just you'd be driving for an hour to get down to the to go down the peninsula and get down to places like Rosebud or Dramana or something like that.
Yeah, I live on the way down that way, but I'm still in Melbourne, so I'm just on the Bayside suburb here, which isn't too bad. But yeah, cool, good stuff. Any new guitar? Yeah, any new guitar acquisitions or? Nah,
man. I was spewing. I had nothing to add to your post of what guitar kit did you get for Christmas.
Yeah,
it was disappointing, and like I'm just at the moment my pedal board's disassembled and in a plastic crate. The guitars are still all lined up there. That's all right. But yeah, it's just.
Yeah, not only did I not get any guitar stuff, I got my traditional lump of coal from Santa.
Wow, there you go. At least I did better than last year. I wrote my letter to Santa, but I made a typo and ended up writing it to Satan. I found some real.
Oh God, yeah. Like I got a lump of coal last year too, so I'm feeling very blessed.
Yeah, nice.
Oh, well, there you go. But mate, you'll keep you warm in the snow.
Yeah, that's for sure. By the way, skiing is the only thing that makes snow worthwhile having. It's the only thing you can do in the snow that's actually fun. Skiing, maybe sledding, tobogganing, that kind of thing. But the rest of the time, it's snowmobiling. Yeah, okay, yeah, for sure. But
you get cold either way.
Snow is just very difficult to live with.
It's one of the things, like I say, it's like when I was younger, I loved the winter. I still do love the winter. But again, unfortunately, with age, my body does not love the winter as much as it used to.
Yeah.
And it's a shame in Canada you don't have the equivalent of Florida or Brisbane here. So you got nowhere to go, mate. It's going to be cold or colder.
Well, except for in the summer, like where I'm located, I'm actually off of a bay. So we get really hot, humid summers. So it might be like 100 Celsius or whatever, but it's like 100 Celsius with like 80 humidex factor with it. So it's like boiling.
People, I think, don't appreciate really in the States and in Canada how hot the summer can actually be.
Yeah.
And then you turn around, you know, when you get to like January and February, it's like insanely cold and windy. So it's quite a variance, you know, from cold to hot, depending on what time of year you're on, you know. And sometimes the falls and springs, well, around here particularly, spring is a season that I would categorize as winter that's not bright enough to get out of the way.
It sounds about right.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying, Tara, right? I mean, you know, it's like April, you're closing in on May and it's still cold.
Especially these last few years with whatever they want to call it, global warming or otherwise, you know, the weather has been really mixed up because, you know, again, like I said, we didn't get any snow where I am until literally like November. And same thing with our winter, our summer kind of warmer conditions. They really didn't come around until almost August.
Well, one of the incongruous parts of global warming is that the Earth gets colder. Because as I heard it, as scientists explain it, is that the Earth the ice caps start to melt, and it shoots a huge amount of cold water out into the ocean, which actually winds up killing the Gulf Stream. Now, the Gulf Stream is what keeps the entire eastern seaboard of the U.S. up as far as Maine in this moderate temperate climate. But without the Gulf Stream, the place just gets it turns into like snow most of the year. So that's the incongruous part of global warming. The Earth doesn't get warmer; it gets colder.
Yeah. Well, it actually snowed in the Sahara Desert this year for the first time.
You know, and weird stuff like that will happen to it. You know, you'll find Florida like 10 below.
Yeah. Sorry, John. Go ahead.
I'm just saying we forget how big the world is, and so there's so many different regions that need to maintain their status quo, and changing one's going to change all the others.
Yeah.
And if the ice caps melt, that cold's going to go somewhere.
Yeah, we just got a comment, fellas, in the chat. It says, "Oh, the Weather Channel is back," and a sad emoticon face.
What do you want for free?
Yeah, come on, folks. Unless someone's donating to the live stream here, we will talk about whatever we like. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, you know, it's one of those topics of conversations we like to touch on from time to time. You know, the difference in the weather from here in North America, you know, to Australia. You know, it's like, you know, you guys have, you know, a warm Christmas, and you know, we're bundled up like crazy. You know, and well, I've laughed because Shane, like we've had this going now for the entire time of the year, and if you could go back and look at it, you could see. You start off in a sweatshirt, you know, and in a t-shirt here, you know, and then as time goes on, a couple of hangouts later, that has completely flipped.
Yeah,
you know?
finally, man, I was dying over here.
Yeah,
Melbourne's been so average here that I'm glad the hot weather's here. I really love it.
I prefer.
Someone just asked if any of us thought about daisy chaining amps together. Or running multiple amps.
I know you can do that. I've never tried to do it. I'm afraid to blow something up. So,
yeah, I've done it a couple of times. There was a couple of gigs where I played a Peavey Bandit and a Fender Hot Rod DeVille, and not recently. This was years ago. So it shows you how the circle of gear always comes back full circle at some point. But I had to run a DI box to stop the ground loop from happening. So I'd run a box that would essentially take out the earth pin, I think it is, or something like that on one of the amps. And then Yeah, I could run them both that way. I've done that a few times. I've also run 2 hot rod amps, Blues Deluxe and a hot rod deluxe amp together a couple of times at gigs. I just found it a little bit too fiddly. It's like one amp's always louder than the other, or you can't quite get where you stand. It depends. I hadn't spread out across the stage. I didn't have them right next to each other as well. So when I used to play in trios, I did it more than I've done it since I'm not playing in a trio anymore. So yeah, I don't know if any of you guys have messed around with any of that stuff, but
I asked for clarification, sir.
What's that,
when
sorry?
you say daisy chaining, I just want clarification. Do you mean like one guitar lead split into 2 separate amps, or do you mean one amp into the other amp?
I think either. Yeah, I'd assume. The way I ran it was one guitar cable, then a splitter kind of thing to 2 amps. Yeah.
Okay. That I can understand. Running one amp into the other, I wonder if it's going to just like overload or just get you a massively distorted signal right from the start.
Yeah, I haven't done it that way. I'm not too familiar with it. I do know a guy that runs one of those small Roland Cube amps into a basement amplifier. Yeah, it's crazy configuration, but he somehow gets the effects out of the Cube into the basement.
Years ago, I had an Ampeg bass amp that was it was an Ampeg B15 XT. This is actually dating myself. You know, the Ampeg doesn't do this stuff anymore, but it was 2 stacked 15-inch speakers.
Wow.
in its own thing, and I could split them. I could keep the one by myself there with the guts on it, and just had a long extension cord, and I'd run it to the other side. So I had a little bit of chance of punching the bass sound out, and not having to get overwhelmed by the drummer or the guy with the very loud guitar.
That'd be
that's the way it was designed to be used. Or I could stack them on top of each other and do it that way too. But I did like to split them, like you're saying. Had one on the other side of the stage.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people find one amp will buzz really badly when they do it. There's other ways you can do it too. Some delay pedals or whatever have stereo out.
Yeah. So
you can just run one cable straight out of your pedal, or 2 cables out of your pedals to 2 amps. But that you can also have that same. It depends on the situation. Some people suggest running one amp into a power board that has the earth pin missing, because that will stop that as well. I don't know. It sounds all a bit weird, but a little bit dangerous.
There's a lot of effects that I find that have that splitting effect, like tremolo, vibrato, chorus even, and like you said, like the echo or delays as well too, that have that split feature.
Cool. Sorry, just replying to a comment here that made me laugh. Yeah, I won't repeat it, but it still made me laugh.
Oh, one of those comments.
Yeah, I'll repeat it. It's not that bad. Matt Strong says, I won't say in reference to who, but he says, I think my ball sacks have more personality than those 2. I thought, oh man, just not anyone on the stream here, guys. Just another YouTube channel. Anyway, that's kind of funny. Yeah. So if anyone has any more questions, feel free to let us know. I'll probably wrap this up pretty soon. I've got a few things I've got to do today, and I've also got a bit of a drive to the gig tonight. So firstly, folks, everyone that's on the stream right now, thanks for supporting the live streams and channel, all that kind of stuff. It's been great having you guys on most of the streams this year, which is awesome. So yeah, thanks guys.
It's been actually fun.
Yeah. I'm going to keep doing them next year. So we'll probably every second week or so. Yeah,
it's no big effort. It takes just as long to participate as to just watch. So it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that little announcement. I'm sorry, Shane. That little announcement that you put out. You'll be having the stream in a week or 2, however you manage to send that out. That's also very helpful, because actually, I know for myself, when I see it, I put it on my little calendar here, so I make sure that I'm around for it.
Yeah, we definitely. I'll definitely do that every stream. Usually, after one's finished, I'll queue up the next one. So
yeah,
after we're done here today, I'll schedule the next one just so people know when it is. But Yeah, it's been good fun, guys, and thanks for chatting guitar nerdery with me. It's been awesome.
And a little weather too. Don't forget.
Yeah, the Weather Channel. We're going to go 24/7 Weather Channel next year. So
Hey, weather affects your ability to play music. So
That's right.
yeah, exactly.
Can you imagine inviting someone like Shane up here to Canada to like play a like concert outside? He'd be like so screwed because it would be like snow and stuff. He wouldn't be able to handle it.
Man,
See him
I'll tell
trying
you
to
what.
like
The weather
form
would,
chords and stuff, and he'd be like,
the weather would warp the neck on his guitar.
yeah.
There's nothing worse than cold hands and guitar. I did an outdoor gig a while back, and it was freezing cold. I had like a big duffel sort of jacket on and beanie and everything. And I sat in the car with the heater on, just getting my hands warm for probably 25, 30 minutes. And then when I went out, I could actually play. I knew if I didn't do that, I'd be all thumbs. Out cold weather, man, I can't play when it's cold. And same with sport. If it's a hot day, you tend to do better with sport or any exercise because you don't need to loosen up so much. I think it's the same with your hands. On a hot day, you just play better. I don't know what it's like living in minus 30 degrees, but I know when it's warm, I play better. It's just it's one of those things.
When your hands get cold, they get cold to a point where you can't feel them anymore, so you just use them.
Yeah. We got asked hot dogs or hamburgers. I'd have to say hamburgers.
Hamburgers.
Yeah, probably hamburgers. You could probably get a better bit of meat in it than a hot dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although people eat hot dogs here in the States like crazy. You put them on your barbecue and just fry them up.
Well, yeah. Well, they're not as popular here, the hot dogs, as they are in the States or other places. I mean, you can get them, but they're not. They're something you'd have at a barbecue, like if you were cooking yourself.
Yeah.
You don't go. There's not shops where you just go out and buy a hot dog. Yeah,
Certain spots it's really hot. Like if you go over to New York City to the Coney Island area, there's places up and down the whole boardwalk there where they're all trying to outdo themselves. Who does the best hot dog? And it's insane the amount of stuff they put on it. It's like you can barely find the hot dog.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Chicago is another place that would also be
Chicago, yeah, man,
crazy.
yeah. They'll do that
Yeah.
too there.
We just got asked. Vaughan asked about our opinions on Victory amps. I covered that earlier, man. So if you want to rewatch the start of the stream, I have a chat about my thoughts on the Victory amps and how they compare to other amps and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, this stream will be archived online in the next hour or however long it takes to process. So you can always go back and watch it, but we may have to call it a day, folks. But I hope you all have a happy new year and yeah, have a good, safe one as well.
Sounds good.
Yeah, you too, mate.
Yeah,
thanks,
sounds
thanks.
good. I agree.
Same thing to everybody, guys. See
Yeah,
you
Same thing
next
to
year.
everyone as well too.
See you
Yeah.
next year.
And Tom Fran says it must be Shane's lunchtime. It is. It's absolutely lunchtime. It's time to get some food. So thanks so much to everyone who's been in the stream and everyone else who isn't on the live part of it today, who has been on it for all the other times, like Nick in the States and Lando, all those, everybody, David, and everybody else who's contributed to keeping this going. It's always good fun. So if you want to be on the stream at any point, email me at intheblues@outlook.com and I'll put you on the email list. So thanks again, folks, and I'll see you next year.
Okay, guys. Next
All right.
time.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Thanks again.
See you guys.
Next time.
Cheers. See
Yep.
you.
Everyone.
Bye.